Welcome to the NC Spin After Spin. Additional comments from our panelists just available on our website. I want to ask you, what do you wish you'd said on last week's show, but you didn't? Chris Fitzsimon, I'll start with you.
Well, we obviously talked a lot about the hiring of Margaret Spellings as the new UNC president. We talked a little bit about the process, and I still think there's a lot of questions about how that whole process fell apart. We still don't know who the new chair of the Board of Governors is going to be. There has to be a 30-day period before a new one can be elected. The state Senate they appointed Mr. Fennebress, so they will have an appointment. I understand from, there were published reports that Ms. Spellings, who I think is respected by the legislative leadership, was not their first choice. And remember, all 32 of these people were elected by the General Assembly. So I think the acrimony, the decision is over, and I wish her the best, although I have some questions about her. But I think there will be some repercussions about this for the university system and the relationship between the university system and the legislature for a long time.
Doug, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
Well, this is the time of year that we've been hearing about legislators saying they're not going to run for another term. Just the last couple days, we've been hearing about some seated legislators that are going to be primaried. And I think what we may see, for better or for worse, Chris and I discuss it every time we're on here, about the districts, and so many of them are safe, where the movement often is in the primary. And from the Republican side, I think you may see a very big freshman class come in this next session for the Republicans. And when they do that, Mike Hager did this a few years ago. He got them banded together, and they had a lot more clout than usually freshmen do. And you may see that happen again the next session.
Cash, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
Going back to Margaret Spelling and the fact that indeed the UNC faculty are already sharpening their knives for her, and it was brought up that she does not have an advanced degree. And I think she's the first UNC system president since, I think, the 1950s not to have one. UNC, those folks are extremely proud. And if she's going to be leading them and they feel that she doesn't measure up academically, someone that they should pay attention to, I think that's going to contribute to her problems and her difficulty to really get on the same page with them.
All right. John, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
Well, also speaking of Margaret Spellings and the UNC presidency, I think it's important to recognize that the powers of that office are significant. They might be a little bit deceptive, like you think, oh, well, I'm president of the university, I will pull all these strings and make all these things happen and hire and fire all these people. You have to be a little more circumspect than that. Bill Friday was president for 30 years. So during the course of time, he accumulated, and he was there from the beginning of the changes to the consolidation and so forth. So he was able to have a lot of soft power, we might call in foreign policy terms, that really supplemented the formal structural powers and allowed him to have a lot of influence. A lot of the other presidents found, I mean, they all did substantial things in one way or the other, but they all found frustration in an attempt to actually, from the top down, manage these institutions and these prickly, often, frankly, elitist individuals who don't like to be told what to do.
With so many stakeholders.
So I think Spellings needs to approach the job very thoughtfully, and I hope she's getting good advice about it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for watching the After Spin. We'll have more video all during the week on ncspin.com.